All right, welcome back. We continue live right here. Pittsburgh CW, Bob Pompeani, Paul Zeise on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's the Borders and Borders Hotline. They're jumping tonight. So let's start with JT in the South Hills. Hey, JT, how are you? Hello, JT. All right, JT, that was your chance. Let's go instead out to Eric in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Eric, you're on the air.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. Great show. Full disclosure, I am not a basketball guy at all.
Okay.
But what Penn State is doing, wow. Beating Ohio State twice in a 3-week period, all you can say is wow. Maybe they get a chance at the tournament, who knows, but impressive win tonight, man.
Yeah.
We are.
I mean, they are certainly having a good sports season, not just them, the football team, of course, and their hockey team and their wrestling team. They got everything going up there.
Yeah, and usually they're one of the teams, what's that called, the Sears Cup or the Director's Cup or whatever. Usually they're one of the schools that has at the end because they do have a lot of good programs, not just the football team. In fact, there was a couple of years there where the football team was like the team that was holding them back. But they've got a great sports program. There's no question about it. I think the thing that you can learn from Penn State hoops is they were patient with this guy.
Yeah, they were.
And Pat Chambers. And I just looked it up today. I think this is his 6th year or 7th year or something. He's never finished higher than 10th in that league. Did you know that?
I knew it was not that good. I didn't know it was that. I didn't know it was 10th.
He's never finished better than 10th until this year.
Well, but that goes to show you they didn't have much as far as history. They were saying, look, this guy we like. We think in time he can bring it. You know, it just takes time. And if you're willing to be patient, most programs like, Pitt right now finds itself in a situation where they don't want to be patient maybe.
Right. Well, look at Boston College 2 years ago. Boston College was a disaster. Now, I'll say there's one difference between BC 2 years ago and Pitt this year. BC, if you look, they were actually competitive in a lot of their games. They weren't getting their doors blown off every night. The problem you got with Pitt is they've played 14 ACC games. 11 of them they lost by 14 or more. I think 7 of them by 20 or more. I mean,
see, that's the thing. If you look at, you can dissect each of these games and say, hey, we're close. This team believes in it. With some breaks, we would have had 4 or 5 wins. Instead, you can't say that with them. So maybe 1 or 2, but they need more. We'll see what happens. There is a lot of talk about a potential buyout out there for Kevin Stallings, and if that happens, they'd have to start this thing all over again. It's going to be a very costly proposition.
Well, before you go to the phone real quick, let me ask you this. You've been over there for games. You've watched him. You've seen film of him and everything else. Does he look like a guy who has the energy and enthusiasm, or does he look like a guy that's beaten down? Yeah, he just looks to me like a guy that's beaten down, that's going to go at the end of the season and say, "Give me."
But it's not all his fault.
No, it's not at all.
I think people make it down like Kevin Stallings.
No, and here's the other thing. I think he's a good coach. That's
I think
the funny
he knows
thing.
offense a lot. But
I mean, you don't win almost 500 games and go to 10 NCAA tournaments if you don't know at least a little bit of what you're doing. My point is, he looks to me like a guy who's ready to just say, give me the money and fire me. So
not a bad way to go, though, if you're going to that kind of money. All right, let's go back out to the lines, and we have Greg in Morningside. Greg, welcome to the program. Go ahead.
Bob, how are you?
Good, thanks.
In watching the Penguin game tonight, Bob Erie driving me crazy again. Telling like stories, Bobby, but not the full story. Was talking about the Gretzky-Lemieux thing. In their careers, Bob, Mary Lemieux has 2 NHL individual scoring records. Bobby Orr has 23, and Wayne Gretzky 65. Please remind him of that to tell the full story.
Sounds like an angry guy. I love what Bob Erie does. I think he's one of the best analysts of the game. I did not hear what he had to say tonight, so I have no idea what really that was about. So we'll see. All right, let's go out to Matt in Munhall. Matt, you're next. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, bud?
All right, what's up?
So you must be the only sportscaster on KDKA to give Penn State credit, because I called the other night. Richie Walsh said that Penn State was probably going to go to the NIT and lose. So props to you for giving Penn State credit tonight.
I appreciate what they've done. You know, I mean, it's a
long road.
But
the thing about it is,
they have 19 wins now. So as Paul said, they're probably 2 away from being one of those teams.
That's the key. They're not in yet if you look at all of the metrics. So Richie Walsh wasn't 100% wrong, and now they added a big win, but I think they still need 1 or 2 to get there. And they can get that because they're playing really well.
All right, Tony joins us from the Hill District. Tony, you're on the air. What's up?
Hello, Bob. How are you?
How are you?
I'm fine. I wanted to say I heard that Le'Veon Bell said if the Jets gave him $100 million, that he would go play for them. For one, he's not worth that much.
That's never going to
They're
happen.
not going to give him that. And I just want to know, instead of the Steelers slapping the franchise tag on him, why don't they just let him go and use that money to get somebody else?
I mean, they could do whatever they want to do there, but I don't think they're going to lose him for 1 year. I think here's the worst case scenario. If you want him back, it'll be a franchise tag 1 year and then let him go. And the more I think about it, that would be the way I would play this. I don't believe it's worth giving him long-term money when they have so many other things they need to put money in. How do you sit on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about it is if you're going to use the franchise tag, use that non-exclusive one. So if someone else wants to come and give him
compensation,
you get your 2 first-round picks.
No one's going to do that.
Right, nobody would do that, but at least, cover yourself on that back end. Just real quick, that context of that, somebody tweeted him, I'm a Jets fan. If we give you $50 million, would you come to the Jets? And Le'Veon Bell's answer was, you're going to have to pay me a lot more than that to go to the Jets.
All right, let's go out to Jerry in Hempfield. Jerry, you are on the Sports Call. Go ahead.
Hey, Bob. They keep saying the Steelers need a lot of defensive help in the back. There are 5 free agent safeties available. Do you think the Steelers would entertain of maybe bringing one of those guys in to look at? Thank you.
Yeah, I think they will entertain a lot of possibilities there. If they want to move on from Mike Mitchell, they'll save them money. They still have a need there. They have a need for inside linebacker. Kevin Colbert today was talking about Tyler Matakevich maybe. I think they got to shoot way above that. I like Tyler a lot, Paul, but I think they need somebody who can play at a very high level, and I don't know that he can.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the position, inside linebacker. If they're going to go the free agent route, they'll probably go in terms of trying to go get somebody that's ready to play. To me, they're not good enough there. And if you're going to be good on defense the way they want to play, you better be good there.
Johnstown is our next destination. We have John. John in Johnstown. What's up?
Hello, Brother Bob and Brother Paul. How you doing, brother?
We're hanging. Thank you.
Well, first of all, that coach for Pitt got to go, brother. He's terrible. See if you can get Jamie Dixon back, brother. You know what I mean, brother?
He's not coming back. He has a good situation out there. They like him. He's rejuvenated them, even though his season has kind of gone the other way, how it started. They had that big win over West Virginia and then hasn't been the same way. Pitt's going to look for a fresh start with somebody if they do go through with this buyout. I'm suggesting it should be someone who has some resume, not just somebody who needs a first opportunity or is a hot – because I've seen too many of those guys come and go. I don't know, Paul. How would you play that? Who would you look to?
I mean, it's a big wide world of a lot of coaches.
I know, but you're
I pointed out, for instance, that I think Ben Hallen was at Northern Arizona, 5 or 6 years and had one NCAA tournament, I think. Would you have been excited about that resume? Ed Cooley at Providence. When he was at Fairfield, right, 5 years, never went to the NCAA tournament, only won the regular season in the MAAC once, and now he's at Providence getting ready to go to the NCAA tournament for the 5th year in a row. It's never been done at Providence. So there are good coaches out there. Go find the best coach. And you know what you do? You concede that you don't really know what you're talking about, and you go talk to basketball people who are really good coaches out there that maybe we're not thinking about.
That's a good idea.
That's what you do. Before
Instead
you go out,
of having a search committee involving a bunch of people who really don't know, you got to go straight to basketball people who do know.
That's what you need to do. Go do that before you go.
All right, one more call before we go to break, and that would be JT in the South Hills. JT, you're on. What's up?
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Hey, just real quick about Penn State here. Here's my question. Everybody's thinking, hey, they may not make it if they can win, but they're going to win. They are the better team. I think what's shown here lately is they are the better program. They're the better team. They've lost 3 games without Josh Reeves. My question is, if they win all these games, can we see them in Pittsburgh when the NCAA tournament comes here in a few weeks?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you're looking for a draw, that would be it. I thought at one point West Virginia was going to be, and they still may be.
Right. I think absolutely. If they get in, they could come here. I mean, again, I wouldn't lose my mind. I think they play Purdue. Don't they play Purdue?
Purdue is
and I mean, they've
really
got
good.
tough games. I mean, they can win them. They're good, but let's not lose our mind and say they're definitely going to win those games. They're tough.
But based on how we said, they've won 5 of 6 against ranked teams at home. They are playing good teams, and they're beating them. And tonight they took apart a real good team at home.
No question.
We're due for a break. Harry, Steve, Ace, and Bob all coming up next right here live on Pittsburgh CW.